Welcome to Atlanta Live. We're so glad you could join us tonight. I'm Araya McGarry.
And I'm Linda Lee Smith, and we're so proud to have you here with us tonight.
We really are excited. We've got a great show tonight for you, as always. But don't forget that if you're not here able to watch us live right now, then you can always watch live on Roku, Apple TV. You can catch us on Facebook as well, anytime, and also watch on the website, WATC.tv. So I know there's a lot of people out there that just watch more TV on the internet nowadays anyway. So we're out there to search us, to find us, because tonight they're not going to want to miss. Tonight we have Noah's Ark here with Jama Hedgecock and her son Charlie. They rescue animals. They've got an incredible story. They have exotic animals and children, and we're going to tell you a story how that works together and how God did some miracles in their lives. It's a really fascinating story, as well as Amy Walker's here tonight.
So exciting.
She's amazing because she's helping Christians have very successful businesses, because you know it's not a sin to be financially successful.
That's exactly right.
She's going to talk about that, and she's got a great testimony as well.
And then we have the Reverend Chip Gordon from Cancer Center Treatments of America talking about their missionary work of our journey of hope.
Yeah, and being a cancer survivor myself, I'm excited to hear his story and how he helps. He helps so many people with that.
So many people, absolutely, in their time of need. And I think also fulfills himself at the same time.
He does. And if you're watching right now, which you obviously are, I want you to call in, because we do have our prayer lines open this evening. So you can call in and we'll pray with you, because I know that this time of year people can be lonely and wishing they had somebody to talk to. We're here for you. So feel free to dial the phone number on the bottom of the screen and call in and talk to our prayer partners that are standing by waiting to hear from you.
Yeah, please do.
And now we have some music.
Yes, so I'm so happy to announce a fourth stream with Angels We Have Heard on High.
They have a wonderful, wonderful rendition of that. Great, so we'll take it over fourth stream. Oh, that was wonderful. Boy, it really gets you into the holiday spirit, hearing some instrumental and hearing Angels We Have Heard on High. So thank you, Four Stream. That was wonderful. And we're going to have more from them later on. So we're excited for them to be on throughout the show. So don't go away. And speaking of not going away, I have somebody very special to introduce you to now. It's a very dear friends of mine right here in Locust Grove, Georgia. I'm going to tell you all about the Noah's Ark Animal Rehabilitation Center and how it started rescuing animals and children. And my pleasure to introduce Jamie Hitchcock and your son, Charlie. Hey. Welcome.
Yes.
So good to see you guys again.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, I'm going to just dig right in. You have a fascinating, wonderful testimony, and I want you, Jamie, to tell everyone what your vision was and how it started.
Well, when I was 4 years old, traveling from state to state with my evangelistic parents, I never was allowed to have animals. And I would always tell my mom and daddy, why can't we stop at the zoos? And why can't I, have this animal or that animal? And we would live from motel to motel. And they would say, Jamie, honey, you have to wait till you grow up because you can't let animals go with you from, going evangelist traveling everywhere. So I said, well, okay. But at 4 years old, I had found this cat.
Uh-oh.
And it really looked bad. But I wanted this cat so bad, and my parents wouldn't let me have it. And I told him then, I said, when I grow up, I'm going to take in all of the unwanted animals in the world, and I'm going to give them a home. And that's where it started.
And you took that to a whole other level.
I did.
You've rescued like over 2,000 animals of all species and kinds. And we're going to talk a little bit about who and what you have there.
Yes.
And so you went from just wanting to rescue a cat to really knowing that was your calling. How old are you when you knew that you just loved animals? Were you born with it, or didn't it start you at 3 or 4?
No, I've always had a fascination with them. I've always, was very maternal, and but I was also very stubborn and wanted what I wanted.
Well, good for
and
you.
So, when I was told no, that made me even more stubborn. And I just told them, and I never let go of the dream. And then when I was 8 years old, we went into Mexico, and I never knew children were born, and maybe didn't have a mom and dad to take care of them, because I always had loving parents.
Okay.
And so they told me, Jamie, there's a lot of orphans here. And I said, well, what's an orphan? And they said, well, they don't have parents. And I was just like, you got to be kidding me. And I was carrying around these little babies, and there were just children everywhere. And I said, well, you know what, Mom? When I grow up, I'm going to take in all the children, too. I'll be the mommy to all of the children and all the animals.
What did your parents think at that moment? When first you're saying you're going to rescue all the animals in the world, okay? Now you're saying you want to rescue all the children in the world. Did they think you were crazy?
Well, they were used to me.
Okay.
And Mom always said she felt like her and Daddy were handpicked to raise me because I was challenged. I knew I was, but I always stuck with what I wanted to do, and I never varied off from it. It didn't matter where I went or what I was doing. I always was gathering up animals, or, when I was very young, I was always wanting to babysit everybody's babies, and, so they knew. They were sort of, they
and
knew.
I can relate, because I'm the same way. That's why we connect. It's just with me and my daughter, we just rescue everyone and everything. That's for sure. So now we have to fast forward a little bit, because now you have that dream, you have that goal, you knew when you wanted it. So what happened? How did it become a reality?
Well, I got married when I was young, and I had 4 birth children, and Charlie being my first.
Charlie, yay.
He's the one I practiced on. And
you got it right with Charlie.
yeah, then I had my wonderful son, Stephen, and then I had Nicholas, and then Peaches. And during the time, kept gathering up animals and then helping anybody, we could. And they moved to Georgia in 1978.
Where were you at before Georgia?
In Indiana.
Okay.
We were in Indiana, and we moved here. I followed my parents here. My mom and dad moved here.
Okay.
I wasn't going to be too far away from them.
Was he still evangelizing?
No, Daddy's went on to heaven, and Mama joined him about a year ago.
I love your mom,
so
yes.
yeah, they're lucky.
Yeah.
They're
good
having
people.
a good old time.
Good, with your mom was a hoot. Love your mom.
Yes, she was. Yes, she was.
She loved the animals too.
Very much so.
She was
very
a big part
much
of this
so.
that we're about to talk about.
Yes.
Okay.
So we just settled in 1978 here in Georgia on a little farm, and then from there we moved to our present location in 1990. And it's grown now to 250 acres, and we have a little over 1,500 animals at all times, and thousands of people come every week to visit.
What I love about Noah's Ark, many things I love about Noah's Ark, but one that I really want the viewers to hear is you step out in faith, and you live by faith.
Yes.
There's so many people out there, we're going to talk about business a little bit later on, but there's times when you just know that God has a calling on your life.
Yes.
And you don't wait for every light to be green and to have a plan, and you just had a huge love for animals and children.
Yes.
You say, okay, Lord, just bring them to me.
That's
and
right.
you live by faith that the bills will be paid and that things will happen. God will take care of you.
Absolutely.
Tell us a little bit about living by faith on such a big goal with children and animals counting on you, plus your own family.
Well, before we moved to our present location, it wasn't uncommon for us not to have electricity or not to have water.
Wow.
We were the best dumpster divers there was. We knew how to find all the food we needed for the animals and the kids. And because you can go behind these grocery stores and you know what time they're going to throw their stuff out. And we would gather up food, and we'd gather up whatever we needed for the kids and the animals. And that was before, you know, we got as big as we are now. It was pretty small. We only had a few hundred animals. And, that's a little farm.
Animals.
It was, it was small, and the kids were just, friends of kids or kids that we would get behind dumpsters, and they would just pile up and sleep in bags. And so we weren't with the,
All right, whoa, back up for that. You found children behind dumpsters, and
we
now...
find teenagers, yes.
And what do you do with them?
We just bring them home.
You just raise them? Or
Well, you would keep them sometimes a few months. Sometimes they would get a job and they would stay for a longer period of time, whatever they needed. They just needed a break, and so we were the people to come to, and they become part of our family. Yeah.
And now what, you said something that the children and the animals, as you're rescuing the animals and you're rescuing the children, that you would partner them up together. They actually, because they don't come without baggage.
That's
An
correct.
abused animal has issues and
it does.
fears, and children that have been abandoned and abused have fears and issues. So you're not just getting, no baggage, everybody's hunky-dory. Tell me how those work together and how you paired those up together.
Well, when you get it, we'll just take, for instance, a teenager that we, back in the years past, we did a lot of children from WATC that would be straight out of jail, and they were very angry. And so you would partner them with, like horses or larger animals, or maybe, a larger dog that had been through a lot, and they would work together and they would take care of the animal. And what happens with animals, they give unconditional love, and we as humans are not capable of doing that. But an animal will. An animal will love you regardless. In the mornings, they love you in the evenings, they love you all the time. And the children learn to love again. They learn to respect, a living creature, and then they learn eventually to respect humans again.
So you've had a lot of success with that.
Oh, very much so. There's nothing any better than bringing animals and children together.
I think that's such a good recipe.
Yes.
It really is.
Yes.
And I know you've come a long way. I want to talk about where Noah's Ark is now, because you have such a wonderful program now that the whole community is involved in. Tell us about some of your strange partners you have there. One in particular, you have a BLT at the Noah's Ark. Tell us about BLT.
Yes, I have Sherkan, Baloo, and Leo, which is the BLT, the tiger, bear, and lion. And Leo went home to be with Mom and Daddy about a year and a half ago. They passed about the same time Mama did. And but he was like 16 years old, and he was very, very sick. And
you took good care of them. A lion and tiger bear that lives in the same habitat that you...
For 16 years,
Tell us how you acquired them.
We got a call back in, was it 2001?
Yes, ma'am.
When Scott Frazier called us and said that they had did some kind of drug bust in Atlanta, and in a basement. They went down in the basement and they found this small tiger and small bear and a small lion that were together, and there was a raccoon and a tortoise, and that was the 5 animals that and he said, would you take them? And I said, well, sure, because we've had everything.
Well, you take everything.
We
so
take
yeah,
everything,
course.
so yeah, bring it on. And so he brought them out, and they were just little fellas, and they were on bottles. And Baloo, the bear, his halter had been grown into all the way around him. So we had to have that surgically removed. But we have a wonderful vet, Doc T, that's been with us since 1990. And so she took on the task of removing that. And, they just lived together. It was very unusual, though, because normally, being 3 different species, you would separate them out. But we noticed right off that they loved each other a lot. And when we would try to separate them out like you're supposed to, they would cry and they wouldn't eat.
Oh,
and
wow.
so Charlie and I would talk about it, and he's like, Mom, just put them back together. So we did. And for 16 years, they've lived together.
That's just amazing sight to see. Now you still have Baloo and Shere Khan still live together.
Yes.
Which is so neat to see this 1,000-pound bear with this 1,000-pound tiger just living together is amazing.
Exactly.
So worth it. And Charlie, what do you do there? Because I know you're a big help and right arm to your mom.
Yeah, we just pretty much take care of the day-to-day and help take care of all the animals and just make sure everything's cared for. And just more or less introduce the children, do tours, and a lot of good stuff like that.
You're really involved in the community because you got schools coming out,
Right.
you help the kids, and it was funny, you said something about how you got the food back in the day. I know you dumpster dive, which is just amazing. You really are a survivalist here.
Absolutely.
And you said that the community comes around and will give you like roadkill, that's like fresh roadkill, because
Yes.
it's still good today for you to feed the
Absolutely,
animals.
because the Tigers are very excited if a deer gets hit on the side of the road. The Department of Natural Resources will bring it out, and it's really good for the Tigers to be able to get that fresh meat and everything. So it's really excited for them, and it's great enrichment for them.
Who would think of that? You know, there's the things you don't think about. How can the community get involved? So tell us about your business, if you're open for business, how much it costs, and some of the programs you have. Because I see on Facebook, and people can follow you, you've got a lot of good stuff going on.
Right, we do have a lot of good stuff. And the cool thing about Noah's Ark, back when Mom was running around with Grandma and Grandpa and everything and touring the whole countryside, they didn't have no money. So they didn't get to do all the zoos and stuff. So she made a pact with God that she would never charge. And still to this day, we still don't charge people to come in because we want to educate people about Christ's love through the animals. And we're able to reach people that normally wouldn't go to a church, normally wouldn't go here. You know what I mean? They just don't want to get beat over the head with the Bible. But we can bring them out to Noah's Ark and show them that unconditional love through an animal, and then introduce them to Christ.
Sow the seed.
So it's exactly, sow the seed. And that's what it's all about, is to be able to educate people about animals not being disposable and then sowing that Christ-like seed.
Because you also said that once an animal is with you, they're there for life.
They're here forever, yep.
So you really take on that commitment. So here you are, it's free. So tell us about how you get money to feed them. They're not cheap to feed or to keep and to build fences. So tell us how that kind of works.
Yeah, the greatest thing is our food bill is $33,000 a month.
What? Is that just yours, Charlie?
That's just mine, right?
Okay, feeding a son, I know, is expensive.
Right. But yeah, so it's extremely expensive. But we do partner with a lot of different companies and stuff. Where she was talking about dumpster diving, I hated it. It was horrible. It was extremely embarrassing. Have to go to school and tell all the kids, hey, yes, that was me, I'm sorry. But whatever. So I packed, okay, I don't want to do that no more. So now I go inside and I talk to the store managers and I tell them who we are.
Found a different way to do this, Mom.
Well, I just don't have to climb in the dumpster no more about it,
Well,
which
good
is, it worked in the day, but if
It
I
had
can
its
get it,
season.
yeah, it had its season. If I can convince you to put it to the side for me and let me send my guys to go pick it up or
Right.
let me come and get it, it works a whole lot better. It's a whole lot easier.
And now we've got the internet, so people can actually log on to your website.
That's
You can
right.
adopt
And donate
an
like
animal.
that.
That's right.
You can adopt an animal and help support it. And
right.
there's many different ways. And you can go to our website and check all that out.
What is your website?
Go.
www.noahs-ark.org.
We'll make sure we put
Yes.
that up there
Yes.
so people can get on there. There's a lot.
That's the best place to find out everything about
Really
us.
is.
We've got a new one coming up in the next few days that's being designed by these wonderful people, and it's going to really be incredible.
I'm glad. And you're on
Yes.
Facebook. You're on all the
Yes.
social media, which is great.
Yes.
So people can really, log on to you and connect with you, come out and see you, support
Absolutely.
you. And I know it's
Right.
free when people go there, but I always encourage people to make donations
Yes.
because
Right.
it
Well,
could
that's how
be
we survive.
$1, it could be $1,000,
That's
whatever
right.
somebody can
That's
afford.
right.
Because if they're enjoying it, at least they can give something.
We have
I
things
know they
where
do.
you can be keeper of the day. We charge for that, where you get to work with Charlie's wife, Allison, and you get to feed all of the animals there.
Oh, I know my
People-
daughter's going to be signing
people-
up for that.
People fly in to do that one, the keeper for a day. And then we do wild tours, and we do things that get you up and personally and closer to the animals.
You have to spend the night with the animals, too, didn't you?
We do.
Yes.
We have all kind of camp safaris, and we do all kinds of stuff at night. We have so many events coming up this coming year, and they're all on our website, too.
So that's great. Now, I hear with all this going on, and I like the story and the message you have. It's just, you have this huge vision and this huge passion in your life, and you really have lived by faith, and you've been willing to do whatever it's taken
Absolutely.
to make it happen. You weren't,
Absolutely.
God, gimme, gimme, gimme. It's like, if I have to dumpster dive, I'll dumpster
Absolutely.
dive. You taught your kids good work ethics from that. You do what you have to do.
Yes.
And you've been faithful.
Yes.
Because it's not about, God, give me, and I want this, and I want that. So I'll do what you need me to do.
Absolutely.
I'm your servant. You've been such a great example of
Yes.
that. And now I hear you're writing a book.
Yes, well, my friend Krishanda Lee Perez, she wrote it, and I just talked, and she wrote it. She's a writer.
So you dictated it, okay?
I did,
So you're
yeah,
writing it,
yeah,
you're just
there you
putting it on
go,
paper,
there you go.
okay?
But it's already went to the, I guess, whoever does stuff like that,
The publisher?
editors, publishers,
Editors,
and those
publishers?
people. Yeah.
What's
so
the
by
name?
March, share the dream.
Share the dream.
Everybody has a dream.
They do.
Everybody has a dream. And I share my dream, but in hopes that it will encourage you to share yours. And it's a testimony of my life. It's my memoir. And it starts when I'm 4 years old, and it goes through my life till present. And it's pretty phenomenal.
Can you share some of your life lessons in our last few minutes we have with you tonight that you can share with the audience to give them faith and hope? Some of those life lessons?
I guess one of the things that I would share would be when God gives you a dream or a vision, He doesn't necessarily give you the path. He never did me. You just step out and you grab a hold of His hand and you go with it. Like I said, a lot of times we didn't have electricity, we didn't have water, we didn't have food. And many times when we were renting property, we got several eviction notices and stuff. But it's almost like people are watching you to see how strong you are, see how do you hang on to your faith. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden, poof, God just, here you go. And, we always tell people that Noah's Ark's humanly impossible.
It is.
Because I didn't graduate from high school. I did get my GED later, but I have no formal training. I can't even talk clear, let alone have formal training. But, I'm just a country girl that God put a seed in me way before I was even born, and I never let it go. And I'm one of these people that I always tell people, hell will freeze over before I back up.
Good for you.
I don't, once I know God says do it, I have crazy faith.
I love that. Crazy faith. I like that. Crazy faith.
I definitely have it.
You also are a testimony about God doesn't want your ability, He wants your availability.
That's right.
That is true. That is true. That is
Charlie,
true.
if you could tell us something about your mom, what would you like to say in the last minute of this interview?
The greatest thing about Mom is to be able to watch someone stand on faith. Because, you always hear of Noah in the Bible or Peter in the Bible, and when Peter walked on water and all that. And all that is really cool and everything. But that was, 2,000 years ago?
A while ago.
And she's doing it today. So, and it's amazing to be able to watch someone do it in today's society with Facebook and the internet and, all the distractions. Not saying they didn't have the distractions, but not the ones that we have today and stuff, and still be able to walk by faith.
Plus, you mentioned men's names in that. And it's nice to see a woman. Because
Absolutely.
we are, I always think of like Steel Magnolias. We are strong. We are the heart of the family.
That's right.
And to raise the family that you've raised, strong kids as well, they're all helping you, and they're in this too, have learned a lot.
Yes.
And to be a woman, to be strong.
I have 10 now.
You have 10 what?
Children.
Oh my goodness. Real quick, tell us about your 10 children.
Well, I have my 4 birth children,
Right.
him being my first, and then I have 6 adopted.
Okay, all live at the house with you.
Absolutely.
That's-
Well, some of them's grown up a little bit.
Okay,
they're
just
out
a
on their own. But yeah, I have them from Haiti and from China and here in America, and so I've got them from everywhere, as young as 3 years old. But I've quit adopting. That's 3.
We had 10 children
yeah,
altogether,
yeah,
so.
yeah.
And
So
you
I've-
did get some from
that's
Haiti. I
it.
remember seeing that. That was
Yeah.
interesting. Any reason why Haiti?
Oh, I love Haiti. We're getting ready to start a work on a regular basis. I've been there 7 times, and that's my home away from home.
Is
yeah.
it? You going back anytime soon?
Hoping to in February, and then be able to start some different things to help adoption process to be a lot quicker than what mine were.
How long did yours take?
2 years. But I did it myself. I didn't have an adoption agency.
Wow.
And I didn't know what I was doing, so it took me a little longer. But I got them out of there. They're mine. They're home.
What's their names?
Caleb and Joshua.
That's wonderful.
Yes.
Yeah, that might be another book, how to do that. Like how to ebook,
Right.
So it's really hard.
Yeah, well then
It is. Yeah.
everything that's worth having is hard.
Absolutely.
But that's
It's very
okay. I really just
difficult.
admire
Yeah.
you, congratulate you, and thank you for
Yes.
being such
Well,
a
thank you
testimony
for
to
having us.
Oh, anytime you're welcome back. We really
Thank
give
you.
everybody such hope and faith. They don't always
Yes.
have to have a plan.
That's right.
It is
That's
about just
right.
saying, Lord, hey, I'm here.
Use
Use
me.
me.
Yeah.
And
That's right.
I
Whatever
encourage-
it takes.
Whatever it takes, I like that.
Yeah.
And I encourage everybody to visit Noah's Ark because there's a wonderful
Yes.
place to see. Almost 2,000 animals
Yes.
there. Y'all are there. It's free. Where do you get to do that for free? Anywhere.
Absolutely.
And if they can make a donation, great. And if
Absolutely.
they can't, they can just go and feel
right.
free to enjoy the
We
grounds.
have playgrounds, picnic areas. It's beautiful.
Oh, well, thank you again. Well, I definitely need to make
you.
another trip down there, and so does
Yes.
my family. Thank you for
Absolutely.
being here. We appreciate it. Merry Christmas. Happy holidays. We'll
Thank
see
you.
you very soon. And now we're going to go back to some more music. So if you like some music, especially
Thank
around
you.
holidays, we've got 4-Stream back on the instruments with Angels from the Realm of Glory. For your musical pleasure now, let's welcome them back to the stage.
That was fantastic. It's now my pleasure to introduce Dr. Chip Jones from Cancer Treatment Centers of America and to talk about this very special program called Our Journey of Hope. So it's such a pleasure to have you here today, and I'm so excited to hear about this program. I know it's so critical when you're having such a traumatic experience to have a support network. So tell me a little bit about, first of all, start at the beginning, like you joined Cancer Treatment Center of America when it opened in Atlanta, right?
That's correct. Actually, I was on a church staff at the time, and it was interesting because I never wanted to be a medical doctor, you know, and eventually God called me into full-time ministry. And even while I was in seminary, I did clinical pastoral education in a hospital out in Texas. But that was, many years later when I was on a church staff, and actually the vice president for Cancer Treatment Centers of America here in Metro Atlanta, he and his family visited our church. And he and I had lunch one day, and he shared with me all about Cancer Treatment Centers of America, and I was really amazed at the type of care they gave to their patients. And my mom had been a breast cancer survivor, and so just talking with him and then just me sharing my heart, from there, after several months of process of interview, I eventually was hired as director of pastoral care at our Metro Atlanta hospital, which opened 5.5 years ago.
Wow. I hear such great things about Cancer Treatment Centers of America, and it's interesting how God prepares you for something in the future. You have no idea at the time that you're being prepped.
You know, Linda, it's so true, because I think all of us know somebody with cancer, and I'm amazed at how many people that work at our facility have been touched by cancer, whether it's a parent or them themselves, or maybe even a child. Like I said, my mom is a breast cancer survivor, and so for me it was a little more personal. And now when I speak to groups, whether it's 50 or 5,000, I can say, how many of you know somebody with cancer? And almost every hand go up. In fact, statistics say, this is from the American Cancer Society, 1 out of 2 men and 1 out of 3 women will be diagnosed with cancer in their lifetime.
That's staggering.
So, you know, to have a ministry that really takes care of people at the heart of what they're going through is so important.
Yeah, and I think that's what, you know, if you haven't been touched by it directly, or if you know someone who has, you see it's the simple things that become challenging.
Right.
It's usually a long treatment period, and just getting an individual to treatment and having them support during their treatments, and you know they're not up to doing their normal day-to-day duties, and so people forget that it's the day-to-day stuff that really, you know, hinders them and sometimes prevents people just from getting to their treatment. Just getting people to their treatment
exactly
is a challenge.
I tell people all the time, cancer is not a sprint, it's a marathon.
Exactly.
And I think so many times churches, they mean well, and they do a great job of adding them to the prayer list. And you know, and of course here in the South, we take them casseroles that probably aren't that healthy. And you know, but we forget about those day-to-day things and the fact that, you know, when out of sight, out of mind. And so what we want to do is equip pastors and leaders and lay people how to really effectively minister to those with cancer. Because, you know, when you get a cancer diagnosis, it rocks your world. I mean, it impacts everything in your life, and not just your life, but all of those around you.
Everyone that touches you. So tell me, like, so what does it entail? So if I were a church and I was coming to you, what would you do? Where do you start?
The program we have, the ministry, is called Our Journey of Hope. And so people come to us. We offer training at, in fact, all of our hospitals around the country. We have 5 regional medical centers. And here in Metro Atlanta, we are down in Newnan, Georgia. But they would come to our site for a 2-day training. It's a 2-day seminar where we have doctors, clinicians, nurse educators that come in, talk about cancer, because we all know a little bit about cancer, but we really don't understand it. So we give some education, really a cancer overview, and why this ministry is so important, why it's valuable, why cancer is so different from other types of diseases.
Yep.
And then what we do on the second day is actually walk them through a curriculum, which we give. I mean, this is all free.
It's already canned. You already have it all packaged.
We have it all packaged, and this is a curriculum that we give. So what we're doing is we are training the trainers. So ideally 1 or 2 people from each church would come for this 2-day seminar, and we train them. They go back to their congregation, and then they lead a group of people through an 8-week eight-week sessions of what it means to become a cancer care minister. And we talk about things like why the need is great, the do's and don'ts, practical ministry, caring for caregivers, and even overcoming fear. It's not just fear for those that have cancer, but also fear for those that are ministering to them. It can be scary.
What can you say? What do you don't say?
What can you say? What do you not say?
It's very sensitive because you don't know.
It is.
You really
That's right.
don't know. That's so awesome. So obviously the ministry itself, training the trainers, getting the word out, getting the churches in is a phenomenal program. But we talked a little bit about this before the show. It's also for you personally and for the staff who's doing the training, you know, being on the other side of the ministry. Tell me a little bit about what fulfills you and what you see and what really motivates you to keep it going.
Well, you know, this is what God created me to do. You know, it's interesting because even when I was on the church staff, whether I was a student pastor, a youth pastor, or even as a senior pastor, I really enjoyed being with people, you know, in the hospital setting and interacting with them. I know some pastors who, they love to preach and they love to do other things. They hate to visit the hospital. And so for me, this ignites me. And so for me,
and you can tell. You can tell. You express it. You're passionate about it. You can tell.
Well, and so for me, that's what we do every day. And some people say, how do y'all do that? You know, here's the thing. We're dealing with cancer patients every day. It's not all doom and gloom. I mean, we see some incredible.
The success rate is awesome.
We see some incredible things happen.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think about a guy. I can't use his name for HIPAA reasons, but this is a patient who came to us, 3.5, almost 4 years ago, and he was petrified. He had a pretty severe diagnosis. Anytime you get a cancer diagnosis, it's major. But he had a pretty major case of cancer and what he was dealing with. And he had a faith background. He was Catholic, wasn't really practicing his faith at all. But so as he came to us, in fact, he met with some of the counselors, the therapists at our hospital. They couldn't do anything with him. And one day, one of our therapists said, you need to see pastoral care. See one of the chaplains. So he set an appointment with one of our chaplains, met with that chaplain, then met with each one of us individually. And I looked at him and I said, you know what you need to do? I said, as you get ready for this major surgery, just start coming to our worship service that we have every week. Start coming to our spiritual support group. Go to our class that's called God's Word on Healing. And he just began immersing himself in all of these things. We began to see his anxiety level and stress level just go down. When he got ready for his surgery, they took his blood pressure the morning of his surgery. It was perfect. He was great.
Fantastic.
When he woke up in ICU, the first thing he said, I want to see the pastoral care staff. And we all went, this guy's life has been transformed. He has actually become a believer. He is growing in his faith. And it was funny, just today, before I came to the studio, I saw an email. We had ordered him a Bible with his name imprinted on it. And it was delivered to my house. So before I came here, I went to my house, got it, because I knew it was going to rain. And I'm so excited. He's going to be back at our center the day after Christmas. And I'm going to get to give him this Bible with his name on it. So you know, it's people like that. You know,
they're inspiration.
The enemy would love to rob people of life.
Of course.
But Jesus tells us in John 10:10, the thief comes to steal, kill, and destroy, but I've come to give you abundant life.
Exactly. And it's amazing how you have these traumatic experiences. And yes, for some folks it does ultimately, I mean, we're all going to ultimately leave this physical world.
That's right.
But for a lot of survivors, and today's survival rates are so high. I mean, they really are. And back in the day, I worked for a cancer organization. And so I remember I've just watched over the decades of like, wow, we're really making strides against cancer. And we just, every year, we learn a little bit more and the treatment gets a little more specific. And so, but it's amazing how God uses these traumatic opportunities to sometimes wake us up spiritually, but also then to turn around and minister to others.
And that is something we love to see happen. People will come to us and, you know, sometimes they're here at our facility for 8 weeks for radiation. And I remember a guy coming to me and he said, okay, I'm going to be here for 8 weeks. He said, but I really feel like the Lord is giving me an opportunity. He said, I don't know what. And so I said, okay, let's just pray. And we did. And within a couple of days, he met another guy that was going through radiation. And so they became almost prayer partners. They would come to all of our services, but they would do Bible study in the afternoon. They graduated from radiation on the same day, and they told me before they graduated, they said, Pastor Chip, we want you to be down there because you prayed with us as we came in. We want you to pray over us as we go out. And so really, you know, having this cancer diagnosis and being at a facility for 8 weeks, but yet turning it for something good. What the enemy means for harm, God can turn it for good.
Oh, absolutely.
And that's so important.
Yeah, absolutely. So tell me a little bit more about Cancer Treatment Centers of America. I mean, you said there are 5 locations across the country.
There are. The original hospital is in Zion, Illinois, just suburban Chicago. The second location opened in Tulsa, Oklahoma, then Philadelphia, then suburban Phoenix, Arizona, and then we opened here in Metro Atlanta about 5.5 years ago. And our founder, Richard J. Stevenson, founded CTCA because his mother had cancer, and he loved his mother. He took her to a lot of her appointments and really wanted her to get the very best care. And he told her, he promised her before she passed away, he said, I'm going to change the way cancer is dealt with. And so what we do, incorporating, I mean, we treat the body, the mind, and the spirit. And incorporating what we do in pastoral care is huge with people.
That's amazing. That is absolutely amazing. So what's next? I mean, obviously you have this program across in all 5 locations, right? So everyone in those surrounding areas, how far is your reach in terms of training churches?
Do you
primarily do Metro Atlanta? Do you go Georgia? Do you go Southeast?
Actually, we have trained at our Metro Atlanta location, we have trained churches from 16 states, from Canada, Puerto Rico, the Caribbean. So we've trained just in the last few years over 300 churches. And so what's exciting is then those people go back and train others in their congregation. And some of these churches are on their 4th or 5th session of training. So we have a church in Montgomery, Alabama that has trained over 70 people. It's a large church. They have trained over 70 people to do cancer care ministry because, you know, like I said, 1 out of 2 men and 1 out of 3 women will be diagnosed with cancer. And really, when you look at the average church size, they say the average church size is 200. I mean, there are churches a lot larger, some a lot smaller. But in an average church size, there are 8 people living with a cancer diagnosis. And many times, we may not even know that because they live it alone. Maybe they just don't want to share. But if they know that there's a ministry really effectively meeting their needs, then hopefully they're going to come forward. And it's not just within the walls of the church, but this is a great outreach opportunity for those in the community.
Sure. So you talked about the toolkit that's already prepackaged for the churches. So what are the core elements of the training? I mean, what does the outreach look like? What types of services do they offer to the patients?
Really, it depends on the individual church. You know, we give them the training and then they design their own ministry. Of course, throughout the training, throughout the 8-week training, we offer suggestions. And it's amazing how these churches, how the people that God brings into this group, they have a passion. Some are cancer survivors, some were caregivers and lost a loved one to cancer, but they know what it is like to live with this disease and what people are needed, what they need. And part of that, and I mentioned caring for caregivers, that is huge because so many times these people, they get worn out because they're dealing with everything that the patient is dealing with, plus just life. In fact, we had a patient and his wife. She was the caregiver. He went through treatment, and not long after he finished his treatment, she was diagnosed with cancer. Wow. So she went through chemo, she went through radiation, and it was interesting. She had finished chemo and radiation, and I was talking to her down in the lobby one day. We were just sitting down in front of the fireplace talking, and she said, you know, Chip, she said, I couldn't imagine what it was like to be the patient. And I always thought this had to be so hard when my husband was going through this. But she said, now that I've been the patient, she said, being the caregiver was more difficult.
It's harder.
And so we need to care for caregivers.
Yeah.
So, you know, we
critical.
encourage churches to come, you know, to find us on the web, ourjourneyofhope.com. They can learn all about this ministry, register for a training, whether it's here in Metro Atlanta or at one of the other sites. Our next training is coming up in February.
Yeah, how often do you do them?
We do ours 4 times a year, basically once a quarter. We had one just in November and had, 40, 50 people from 9 states represented.
Wow, that's awesome.
And so they go back, they're excited, and really it's a time for us to minister to these people that come. We love taking care of not only cancer patients and caregivers, but also those that we lead and train.
Of course, of course. Now, do you get the opportunity to meet most of the patients in your role, or is it just
it's changed. When we opened 5.5 years ago, I was pastoral care. I was it. But not long after, I hired my first chaplain, and now it's myself, 3 other full-time chaplains. We also have a weekend chaplain. And so we divide that up. I'm usually down in pre-op in the mornings, praying with patients before procedures. But and I miss not knowing every patient.
Yeah, I can see that.
Because you know, every patient is unique, just like every cancer is unique. They're unique. And it's great getting to know them, hearing their story, and seeing what God does in their lives.
Exactly. I can see that. That would be probably the most fulfilling piece, is just to watch that transformation happen and just watch God at work.
And then to see when patients, a guy came by my office yesterday, and I met him 4.5 years ago, not long after we opened, really, and he came by just to say, hey, my scans are looking great. He was getting another scan yesterday. And he said, I just want you to pray with me before these scans. But he even just talked about what an amazing experience it had been going through cancer.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you want to give your website one more time before we leave?
It's ourjourneyofhope.com.
Fantastic. That's awesome. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thanks for having me.
So now we're gonna join Araya and Marissa at the prayer room.
Thank you, Linda. Thank you, Linda, so much. This was great talking to Chip. Well, I can really relate because, I'm a cancer survivor myself, so God bless you for what you're doing. And not only you all doing great things out there, back here, Marissa and the prayer partners here on the phones are doing amazing work.
Yes, we are.
And I want you to tell us what's going on here in the prayer room.
Yes, well, speaking of cancer, I just got a phone call today from someone being supernaturally healed from breast cancer in Atlanta, Miss Denise's mother. So we are just so excited. We are praising God back here because prayers still work.
They do.
So we definitely want people to call in this evening and, just pray with us, And also, people just been calling about, one lady called about her daughter in college, just praying for her daughter's safety,
Definitely.
At the University of Florida. And we also have people calling about, finances, finances. The enemy can attack you on our finances. So we just praying and we come together as one to declare and decree that God will definitely, help us in every area we need help in.
That's amazing. You're back here answering the phones too.
Yes,
See, I am. On the phone. That is fabulous.
Yes.
We can pray together.
Yes.
This is terrific, and God does answer prayer, and we're so glad for that. I think you have a prayer for us right now, don't you?
Yes. I tell people all the time to pray. It's prayer helps. So, if you guys can pray with me right now that, Father, I know I am a sinner, and I ask you to forgive me. I believe Christ died for me, and God has raised Jesus from the dead. I want to turn from my sins. Jesus, come into my heart. heart and be my personal Lord and Savior. I promise to obey you all the days of my life.
And that's as easy as it is?
As easy as it is.
Well, look at that. You know, so there's no need to be afraid to call in. The people are here to help and pray. And I just love the message that God still heals and God still answers prayer. So we're going back to the set now, to the music set with Linda right now. So enjoy. Thank you for being here.
Hi, welcome back. We are so fortunate tonight to have Mark Bayer with us from Fourth Stream, and just the beautiful music. I enjoy it so much, and especially the holiday, and this background looks great. So before we talk about some of your ministry and so forth, I wanted to give you an opportunity to introduce your band that you have with us tonight.
Just a great group of guys. Mr. Charlie Edholm on guitar,
Hi.
Kenny Bentley on bass, Dan Franz on drums,
Yep.
Emmanuel Smith on keys, and
Fantastic.
they're just my kind of guys.
Great guys.
Yes.
So are you guys performing a lot during the holidays? Are you booked?
Well, you know how it is with a band. Never enough.
Yeah, of course.
So-
of course, you can always take one more booking.
We can always use another booking.
That's
so,
awesome.
you know.
Well, we're so happy to have you here. Tell me a little bit about your ministry, because I know you do some special things with your gifts and your production studio and all of that. So tell me a little bit about that.
Sure, thank you. Well, it's over a long period of time. You kind of get from where you start to where you are these days, and so over the course of time, I've been really privileged to work with lots and lots of worship leaders.
Right.
For the past almost 20 years, the Cross Worship Ministry has really catered to worship leaders and their teams and helping them to develop, but not in the standard way. We were in a situation where the people were able just to come and be participants and use the gifts that they had been given, but expand on those gifts, if you will. When you're in a structured environment, you have to do just this much time, sort of like here, 15 seconds, and you have to, right?
You got to go.
Well, the environment we had them in was exactly the opposite.
Okay.
You play as long as you need to, you go as fast or as slow, as loud or as soft, but it gives the musician an opportunity to develop their craft as well as their relationship with the Lord. And that was an integral part, and always has been an integral part of the cross. The other thing is, the musicians are pretty good at crossing over the boundaries of doctrine and those things that usually keep people apart in the typical church scenario. And so we were just privileged to have literally people from every church background. I mean, you name the denomination, they all would come.
Yeah.
And we didn't care. We were playing music to honor Jesus.
Right.
That's it.
Right. Using your gifts. Using your gifts.
Different styles, but still. Yeah.
That is fabulous. We're so privileged to have you all here and just to bless us with your beautiful gifts and talents. So I think the next song that we're going to be blessed with is What Child Is This?
Correct.
Fantastic. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Fourth Stream is so wonderful.
Aren't they?
So
Oh
enjoying
my
them
God.
tonight. We're just back here having a good old time.
Yes.
Really gets us in the mood for the holidays,
It
for
does.
sure.
It does.
And we're not done with them. They're going to be coming back again. And we just hope you
Yeah.
enjoyed this first part of the show with our guests. We've had some phenomenal testimonials,
have.
some really good
Yeah.
strengths and successes that you can live by faith.
Oh, absolutely.
And you know what? That
Absolutely.
God still answers prayer.
He does.
I mean, go figure. It's really great that when people find that out. So
I know,
that's the
I
point. The
know,
point.
yeah.
And people
Fantastic.
are calling in. We get all these praise
Yeah.
testimonies. God's healing finances, healing bodies. And Chip talking about the cancer was really close to my heart too, because that's such an epidemic these days.
Yeah.
What he does is very
Yeah.
helpful.
It really is. And I think it's something that we just totally, we get engrossed in our own lives. We don't realize that people are just, they
Hurting.
need that network of
They do,
support.
they do. And we
And
don't-
sometimes we reach out one time and then we
I know,
let
we
them
gotta keep
go
it
on
up,
their
keep
way,
it
but
up.
it has to happen. It's ongoing. It has
Ongoing.
to
There's
keep
so many
on.
great people out there ongoing.
So-
We've got more wonderful guests coming. We have
We
another
do.
guest, Amy Walker, coming
Yep.
back to the show. So do not miss it. Don't go away. We're going to bring
Yep.
her, and she's going to talk about finances and success as a Christian. So we'll be right
Yes.
back for that
Yeah.
in the next part of this show. And I'm so glad you were with us here tonight as
Yes.
well.
No, I love being here with you.
I love being here. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
Yep.
Welcome back to Atlanta Live. We're glad you could join us again for the second part of the show.
Yeah.
Which is going to be just as exciting as the first part.
I'm really excited to hear Amy.
Amy Walker is going to talk about finances in a Christian life. And you know, she's got 5 boys and a wonderful
can't even
business.
imagine.
She's
Oh my God.
going to be great to talk to for sure.
Oh my God.
And we don't want to forget, you all can call in too. We're here for you. The prayer partners are still back there in
Yeah.
the prayer room, and it's 770-300-9828. You can call in, watch us online, watch us on Facebook and WATC TV. So we're there for you all the time.
Yep.
And now I'm very excited. Fourth Stream.
Oh, yeah.
They're going to be performing my very favorite of all time.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Holiday Christmas classic. You can
Yeah.
tell them what it is.
Oh, Holy Night. Yeah.
Back
enjoy.
to Fourth Stream. Oh, Holy Night coming for
Fantastic.
you. I'm so enjoying Fourth String tonight.
Oh my God, they're so
We're
awesome.
just lulling us
I'm so
into
in the mood.
holidays.
I'm
I
just
know.
swaying,
It's
you know?
great.
It's like-
That's how you know we've got a really good musical band
Yeah,
with us
it's
tonight
so
because we just
relaxing,
get wrapped into it.
Yeah.
And it's just wonderful. We hope you're enjoying it as well.
Yeah.
And now we have some exciting news. We have a woman sitting on the couch that really answers a lot of the top prayers that come into our prayer line is for finances. We know that is an obstacle, especially with Christians, about finances. Are we supposed to be wealthy? Are we not? Can we do good things with it? It's just a wonderful conversation we're going to have right now with
Absolutely.
CEO specialist Amy Walker from Amy Walker
So
Consulting.
excited to
Amy,
have you.
welcome.
Thank you for having me. I am so excited to be here.
Awesome.
The music
We're
was wonderful.
happy.
That is
And a nice-
my two favorite songs, What Child Is This and Oh Holy Night. So I think they played them just for me.
We did.
knew you were coming.
We planned that perfectly, didn't we?
Yes.
I'm glad. Well, Amy, you've got a wonderful testimony and a wonderful business that helps, I don't want to just say Christians, it helps all people
Yes.
being successful. But you do have a heart for the Christian entrepreneur and the small business person that wants to keep God first, family second, and career third. So before we get into that, tell us a little about who Amy is.
Well, I am a mom to 5 boys.
We heard that.
And when I walk places, people smile for the first couple, and after about the third, they start. You can see them counting. How many are there? So it's 5. My husband Stephen and I have been married we're coming up on our 17th anniversary. And we love that we get to run family and business together, and he is my partner in every way. And we are really happy to just be able to have a mission as a family to create greatness and to serve in the community and to really do good things as a family. So our business is really an extension of the mission as a family.
Yeah. But it didn't start out happy. You have a very interesting and very, I think, poignant testimony that I think the viewers need to hear, because I'm sure a lot of people can relate to your beginning. Tell us a little bit about that.
You know, my beginning was great. I had, when in the Bible, when it talks about where your seeds are planted, I feel like my seeds were planted in a very good place. I had parents who loved God. I had parents who loved me. I had parents who taught me that God loved me and taught me to love the Lord. And so it was a really good start. But at age 4, I actually experienced sexual abuse. And I think this is a story that's really coming to light a lot right now. We're hearing so many women with the Me Too campaign and all of the stories that are going on in the news. And you know, as a child, I experienced a lot of the trauma. I remember being in elementary school, and I got out of school, and it was back in the days where kids walked home from school. Now they can live next to the school and they don't walk home, but it was back in the days we walked home from school. And it was time for me to walk home from school, but there was a man at the school. It was probably someone's dad, but I hid in the bushes because I was scared. I was just scared. And so I would have these moments where I would cry and I would feel sad and I didn't understand what was going on, or I would be afraid, or I couldn't have a man teacher, or, you know, there was just situations, and it really felt like it was playing a big role in my life.
Yeah.
And I remember at about age 10, I was in the 4th grade, I prayed one night and I turned to the Lord and I just asked for him to take it from me. And I asked for him to help me feel good and feel happy. And it was such a simple prayer. It was 10.
Yeah.
Simple prayer. I was 10 years old. And it was just that time for me to be able to sit there with the Lord. And I got this idea that came into my mind. And the idea was to write a letter of forgiveness to my abuser. And I did.
Good idea.
And it was a 10-year-old little letter that I wrote, writing that letter to my abuser and saying, I forgive you, and I hope that your life is happy, and I hope that you're good. And I remember overnight that the Lord took my pain. He took my sorrow, he took my fear, and from that moment forward, it's not been part of my story. It's part of the beginning, but it's not a defining feature in my life. And so when I hear these things about the Me Too campaign, I almost think, oh yeah, me too. But it's not something that's a part of the day-to-day. And so that was, I think,
handed it over.
yes.
You got it off of.
And I think that was just the first of many of those miracles. And so from the time I was small, I've really known the Lord and known that he is real in our lives and that he knows us, he loves us, and that he's, you know, Jesus Christ is here for more than just our sins. That was not my sin. Not my sin.
You're right.
But he still healed me just the same.
He still needed healing.
Yeah.
I like that you said that you gave it up. So many times we give things up, we add and we talk to God and we pray and we say, Lord, forgive that person, I forgive, and then we take it back.
We don't ever let it go,
It's like,
really.
It's like, okay, I'll give it to you today, and then tomorrow we take that back.
You just bring it right back. Exactly.
And that's normal. But the fact that you've been able to do that, because I didn't even know that
That's
about you. I've
awesome.
known you well, and you said it's not part of my everyday stories. You're not thinking on it, you're not pondering on it. Your past, you really did give it to God.
And you're not letting
That's
it
important.
and you're not letting it influence your future and to hold you down. And I think a lot of people with abuse or any kind of traumatic experience like that sometimes let it dictate their future. It's so wonderful that you really let it go.
The challenge with forgiveness, this is one thing I've learned about forgiveness. A lot of people, I usually only share that story with somebody who's in that situation that needs to hear that story. And a lot of times they say, but how did you forgive? Like, why? They don't deserve forgiveness, or I'm struggling to forgive. And the truth is, our society, when we say I'm sorry, what does the person say? Oh, it's fine, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
It's not fine.
Right.
Forgiveness does not mean that it's fine. What forgiveness means is that you will be free from it. And that other person still has their journey. They still have to seek forgiveness from the Lord. And I sure hope that everyone is forgivable, because even though I've had faith my whole life, I can't say I've been perfect my whole life, right?
You're not
That's
perfect.
right. We all, every day. Yeah,
You said
I know.
something. You said they don't deserve it. Nobody deserves the forgiveness.
right.
You know, we don't deserve the forgiveness. We would get it from grace. So just like we didn't deserve the forgiveness, we had to forgive others. You know, my dad was murdered, when I was 15, so I know what that's like to forgive somebody where they deserve it or not deserve it. They didn't ask. They don't have to ask for forgiveness for us to forgive.
They don't have to be sorry.
Yeah, they don't have to be sorry. So that's a great point. Well, now we're going to fast forward a little bit. You have this magnificent mission now and passion and business that helps others. And we get in that prayer room night after night, prayers on finance, and help the viewers understand what that means and what business can be and how you can have it all. Have God, faith, and be successful, and then do good things with your success.
Well, I love small business. I love helping an entrepreneur, small business owner, be able to create a business that really works for them. That's not just creating money. We want it to create money.
Of course.
But we also want a business that's going to allow us to have the time to go and serve in our churches and in our communities, and will help us strengthen our relationships instead of feeling like business and family are always in competition with each other. And also, your business really can be an extension of your life's work. And so you don't have to, which most people, they spend 90% of their time and their energy and their effort just focusing on getting by, taking care of their basic needs, going to work, getting the kids where they need to go. And then they have these moments where they get to really envision and grasp what they want their mission and their purpose in life to be. Well, in business, they get to be one and the same. I wake up every morning and my life is my mission. And I absolutely love that about small business. And just getting in there with an entrepreneur and finding out their dream, what they want, and figuring out how to make it work is absolutely what I love to do. It's so much fun.
And how do you, so many people equate success, especially financial success, unfortunately, with almost like it's an evil. Like, oh, I don't want to be wealthy. I have so many people tell me, oh, I wouldn't want to be wealthy.
Yeah, don't be a
And
millionaire,
you're
big
like,
bad rich person.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm always like, think of the great things that you can do. I mean, the resources that are required to do great works, and the blessing that you get from that. And so I've always struggled when people say that back to me. It's like, what do you mean you don't want to be wealthy? It unleashes all of these opportunities.
We have to choose what scriptures we focus on and how we interpret, right? We can read a scripture one time and it means one thing to us, then we read it again and we go, oh, that means something completely new. But in Matthew, we learn about this in the parable of the talents. So the parable of the talents, the Lord gives talents to each of his servants. And the one who is rewarded is the one who created increase. And talents were currency. That was money. Exactly. That wasn't, a lot of times when I learned about that scripture growing up in church, it was just, if you play the piano, learn to play it better. And if you are good at cheering people up, learn to do that more. Well, that was currency. And so if we really want to magnify and glory God, we can do that in a lot of different ways. Does he care if we're millionaires or if we're the widow giving her mite? He doesn't care. That doesn't matter to him. But if we want to choose to step into that higher level of stewardship And if we want to choose to be the servant that creates increase, and we know that that's going to building up the kingdom of God, then why wouldn't he want to bless us with that? And why would the Lord only want to have people who are unrighteous and don't honor him have money? It talks about in Genesis that God created gold in the passage where he's telling us all the things he created for us. He created that for us as children. And so I really believe that the Lord wants us to be able to be successful. But sometimes we have some thought process that we need to adjust a little bit. Some of the challenges I see Christian business owners struggle with is, you know, they want to help and serve all the time. And sometimes they don't pay attention to their profits. So how do I balance the purpose and the mission with the desire for profit? It can be a little bit of a challenge. So we also have scripture for that teaches us what to do, and it's in the law of the tithe, that we tithe a portion of our money, and we tithe also a portion of our time. So for example, I work with business owners all the time, but my church also has a self-reliance program where I teach once a year. I go and teach a class about how to start up a business, and it's unpaid. So I have a place where I can help anyone. And if anyone comes to me and they say, you know, I can't afford your services, but I really need some help. Well, great, here's a channel. And I know so many business owners that do that. Hairstylists who go and cut hair for the homeless on their day off. Builders who work with Habitat for Humanity, which I know is a passion of yours. And we can all have that outlet where we do have that place where we can serve, but it doesn't mean that we spend all of our time and energy there, because sometimes what we do is we go out with the intention to help and to serve, and we do it and we do it and we do it, and then we get resentful and we get tired and we get frustrated and we get burnt out because we're not being taken care of. And that's not the way that it's meant to be. We just need to have a balance in all things.
Exactly.
If God wants us to take care of our family too, and it goes back to that airplane as a mom, put the oxygen mask on yourself first, then you can help others. And I know I've been guilty of this is I think women tend to be a little bit, we want to give, and then we get burnt out. And you're very good at teaching that balance. You can give and you can volunteer all day long, but there's a time when you have to make the money if that's what you do. If that's what your purpose is and you have a business, you got to run it like a business. And we do talk to a lot of people that run it by faith. You have to have that faith. But if you can have that business plan, that team. And Amy, you are a master at helping entrepreneurs not have to do it all on their own.
Yes.
God bless you for that. There's no guilt in saying, I don't have to do it all. I can create jobs. What an idea. Create jobs of people that help me be the best I can be. Tell us a little bit about how you help people build their teams.
Well, even Jesus had a team.
Look at there.
Right? So he didn't do it all by himself. He had a team.
That's a really good point.
It is.
Absolutely. He did not step out into that ministry unprotected without people to support him. And so when we're looking at building a team, we figure out what is the most important place that you can bring someone into your business first. Because most small business owners, they feel like, I can't afford to hire. This is the number one thing. I talk to them about how to build a team. I give it to them and they say, that's great. That's going to be my goal in a couple of years when I can afford to hire. You need to hire now so that you can bring someone really talented into your business to do those things that take you way too long. Like if I have to figure out how to send a newsletter or write an autoresponder campaign, it takes me way too long. So get someone to come in who's really good and efficient at that, and then now I get to take that time and I get to spend it doing the things that produce income in my business. Every time I've hired, I didn't have the money to hire, but I found the right person came to me, and then I went and created the income to be able to pay them. And I love the fact that I get to create jobs for people. It's so exciting to be able to be a blessing and a gift in other people's lives.
Wow. That is true. That is
and just guiding them to see that. I mean, because I hear it, you hear it all the time. It's like, I wish I could get some more help. I wish I could hire someone. I wish. But they don't really. I think you have to step out and do it.
Oh, you said the key word.
You up.
It's faith. You have to step out in faith. As Christians, we don't get easy street. We don't get to always know where that next step is. It's okay, Lord. I know I need this. I'm going to step out in faith, because when He has to step in, that's when He gets the glory. So if we had it all figured out, we had all the money in the world, and we had just the whole plan, there'd be no place for Him to get that glory, that miracle, for us to say, wow, didn't know what I was doing, but I gave it to God.
Yeah.
Well, and his vision is so much bigger than ours.
Yeah.
My goal when I started my business, I was 6 weeks away from having baby boy number 5.
Oh, wow.
Perfect time to start a business.
I know. When God said, it's time for you to start your own company, and I went, I think you meant it's time for maternity leave. Because that's what my plan is. But it was time to start my business, and so I launched the company. And
So you were obedient?
I was
Oh, go
obedient.
figure.
Lots of tears, though. I
wow.
cried for days, but I was obedient, and I launched the company. And my big goal was to do 6 figures while being able to work in my office at home, that I could see the kids every day when they walked in the door and came home from school. That was my big vision. We accomplished it in year 1. And then in year 2, we quadrupled. And in year 3, I remember when I looked at the end of the year that I had written out more in paychecks for other people than what was my original vision for my company.
Oh,
so if we had it all laid out, there's really not room for him to multiply and to magnify. And his vision is so much bigger sometimes than mine. It's actually my least favorite question to ask is when people say, well, where do you see this company going? It's like, wherever he wants to take it. That's every year I start out and I just am prayerful. Oh, that's a business tip.
Okay, good. We
Prayer.
want okay.
Prayer is a business tip.
Really?
And there's something missing from our prayers, and it's a notebook and a pen. Honestly, we need to, when we sit there in the morning, if you really want God to be the boss and your business partner and the CEO of your company, we have to pray over our business. But oftentimes we pray over it and we pray over the results. But we don't, please bless me to get new clients. Please bless us that we can serve. Please bless us that we'll be able to pay the payroll this week. Right. Those are real prayers, right?
Yep.
But then we don't sit there afterwards with a notepad and write down all of the inspiration and then go do what we just wrote down.
Oh, you have to action.
Oh, yeah.
There you go. Keyword.
Fancy that. You
Action.
actually have an action word.
I've got 5 years worth of regular business meetings with the Lord where we sit down together and I write down my questions, I get on my knees, I say my prayers, I get up with my notebook and my pen and I write them down. And it is funny how sometimes 2 weeks later I'll come back and I'll go, why am I still struggling with this? I'll look through, I'm like, oh yeah, you already told me what to do.
Yeah, it
okay,
gets
doing
good.
it now.
So tell people how they can get a hold of you. Tell us a little, because we're going to wrap up now, but this has been so educational. People are going to want more of you and want more. So how can they find out more?
The best place to connect with me is on my website. It's amywalkerconsulting.com. And you can just join the community. We have free trainings and resources that we have going on. We have lots of great blog posts that can share with you how to be more successful in running your business. And I'd love to help. I'd love to be on your team.
And you're a great help. You're great. I hope everybody reaches out to us. You're wonderful. Thank you for being here and sharing. It was very informative. And amywalkerconsulting.com.
I'm inspired.
I am too. You're fabulous. And now we have to be more inspired with the holiday spirit. We're going back to 4th Stream because they're going to do some more instrumental music for us. And let's see what they have on. Oh, another one of my favorites.
Oh, come all ye faithful.
I love that song.
Classic.
Read it for this one. Oh, come all ye faithful. rendition of "Oh Come All
my
You
God.
Faithful."
I know.
At first, we're like, "Is that "Oh Come All You Faithful"? Oh yeah, it is.
Yeah, they were like, it is, but you don't know the dance
I
to
know.
"Oh Come All You Faithful."
That was amazing. Four-string. I was like, "Do they have a CD? Need to get their CD. Look them up
yeah,
on
they
social
do.
media."
They do have a CD.
This has been a great show. We're glad you
has.
could join us. Glad you could be here with me tonight
Yeah,
too,
no,
Linda.
it was so much fun.
This is great.
Yeah.
Around the holidays to come in. Don't forget, you can call in to have a prayer partner, talk to somebody if you need. We had Amy talk about finances tonight, and we had Chip earlier about cancer,
treatment,
and we had Noah's Ark. We just had a great show. But we know when we leave you here right now that you're not alone, so we can call in
Absolutely.
and have some friendship and have some prayer, because you know that's very needed.
Especially over the holidays.
Really.
Yeah.
The holidays is the highest time of suicide, unfortunately.
Sometimes you just need to talk to somebody.
You do. Sometimes you just need a friend.
Yeah, so call in.
Call in with that, and we're here to help you. The prayer lines are great. They're friendly, and they're here for you. We want to thank you for being with us here tonight. Hope you come back soon. Watch us online, share, like, and thank you for being with us at Atlanta Live. Have a wonderful, blessed holiday season.
Yeah, thank you. Happy holidays.